Welcome in, everybody, to Leading Off right here on Fantasy Pros. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia. That, of course, is Dinger Dan Harris, and it's you. And we're talking all things baseball this morning, as always, right here on Fantasy Pros MLB. We got a lot to get to. Of course, there'll be a Today in Shohei, as there always is. Perhaps a new contender for MVP and a debut for Mad Max in Los Angeles. Dan Harris, how are you this morning, my fine friend?
I'm doing all right. It was very exciting yesterday. I just kept getting pings from the people who run our store about the orders
Oh,
that were coming in, and there were a couple of
really?
couple of issues.
Oh, no.
Originally, the shipping. Well, remember, it's a new guy running the store who's awesome.
The
There are a
new
couple
guy.
issues. New guy. But it is there. Everybody's good. I've ordered mine. I know a bunch of people have ordered theirs. FantasyPros.com/shop. It was a good day yesterday. Good day baseball too. Very exciting. Good. The Mets won. That always puts me in a good mood. Good day. I liked it.
And Javi Baez strikes me as the guy that you love when he's on your team and you absolutely hate when he's not.
So, well, I was in New York this weekend, as you know, with my cousins,
Hmm.
big baseball fans, but obviously they may not follow the sport outside of the Mets, as you and I do as fantasy analysts. And they were asking about Baez, and they were like, he's got all these errors, stuff like that. I was like, all right, here's the deal with Javi Baez. He's going to make some incredible plays. He's
Hmm.
going to make some boneheaded plays. You're going to want to kick him off the team. And right when you do, he's going to come up with like the biggest homer that you've ever seen. Like that's basically the entire Javi Baez
Yeah.
experience. It's a fascinating player, really. I mean, he's fun to watch regardless. But yeah, he just wants to fight with everybody. He's like the Amir Garrett, right, of the Mets.
Yeah, but
That's
he
basically
doesn't. But he doesn't actually fight. Like, just
he does the
look,
slow walk, the Joey P slow
the
walk.
angry slow walk. But
Yeah,
but honestly, I mean, even yesterday he hits that home run, and it is true. He is entertaining. He has a fun to watch factor about him, which is good. He's got a little edge, which I like. It's kind of a
yeah.
throwback thing that's very exciting. And I'm also very excited because we are now basically like a month or so, or maybe like 8 weeks almost away, as the dog is now out of the Harris
No,
house.
this is my wife returning from dropping the kids off from
Ah,
camp.
this is
I
camp.
gave her the go ahead. It's pouring. I gave her the go ahead to
Just
open the
go.
garage door.
Just do
Just
it.
go.
Just
Just do it.
just make it
Sorry
happen.
about that, everyone.
But the 30 for 32 part series about the 86 Mets is going to
Yeah,
be something that is going to consume me for those however many
yeah.
days that's going to be on. I can tell you that. All right,
Well,
let's get to today in Shohei. Strikes out 6 in a win over the Rangers, so the ERA gets lower. Obviously, this was a good start for him. We talked about it yesterday. But speaking of the Angels, our good friend Chris Meany, who's actually the guest of the football podcast today, he had a
ooh,
tweet, and I grabbed the screenshot of it because I thought it was very interesting. He is an Angels fan. I don't remember how this happened in his life, but somehow, as a Canadian growing up in Toronto, he ended up being an Angels fan. Anthony Rendon's season is finished, as most people know. He
yep.
is done for the year. He hit 240 this year with a 329, 382 slash, 6 homers, 34 RBI in 249 plate appearances. Since coming over to the Angels last season, he suffered from the following injuries: oblique, groin, knee, triceps, hamstring, hip, and he has 5 years left on a $245 million contract. Your thoughts and feelings about Anthony Rendon as a keeper league asset going forward here, Dan?
I would first like to point out that this is probably just a failing on my part. Was he on the IL with this hip injury? Because I thought it was like hamstring and groin, and now he's having hip surgery for the hip impingement. I don't remember that it was a hip injury that had him on the IL in the first place, so that's a little concerning. I love Anthony Rendon as the player. He's like the exact type of
Mm-hmm.
player I would love to build my team around. High walk rate, low strikeout rate, enough power to matter. But Joey, I mean, he's going to be entering his 32, right? Age
Mm-hmm.
32 season. I don't know, Joe. I'm very concerned about it. I don't think the hip injury is supposed to be ready for next year. I don't expect it to impact him. But just generally, he went through a great stretch of like 4 years where he was just playing most games. He said back to back, well, I mean, last year was fine. He didn't miss that much time. But what and the comments sometimes from our YouTube subscribers. But yeah, I'm concerned, Joe. I'm concerned about his long term value for sure. Look, this does not get better as you get older. Okay, your injury proneness does not get better as you get
No.
older. And the Angels have a thing for giving these guys, Trout excluded, but Pujols, the giant deals that turn out to be kind of time sucks. So in the end, I'm very concerned about him in dynasty leagues. I just, as he's getting older, I don't expect this to get better.
No, it's a tough scene, man. And I'm starting to think about the Nationals now, and I'm just kind of going back in my head to, they had Harper, Strasburg, Rendon, all these things that are coming through, and then Juan Soto, and it's just, and now you look at what they are right now.
Yep.
Just a year and a half removed, basically, from winning a world championship, or almost 2 years removed now, I guess. That's kind of stunning, when you think about it. Like, all these amazing talents that have come through this organization and now either aren't playing or aren't there. And now what's left is basically Juan Soto and Victor Robles, who hit a home run, his second of the year, I think.
You don't think that I follow every Victor Robles success, all three of them this year, and basically go crazy whenever he does anything positive? Yeah, he did hit a home run. And look, Josh Bell, has been much better, obviously, since the beginning of the season. But yeah, you're right. Then again, whatever, man. Flags fly forever. You give me one championship in any sport right now, I will live for that, right? But yeah, by the way, we never talk about this. The Max Scherzer contract, which at the time was like 7-year, $215 million. That's like the best contract. And like, that's a guy who just earned every penny of that contract. But yeah, the Nats, I agree. It's crazy right now. But in terms of Rendon, I mean, he's not going to be forgotten. My guess is Rendon is the guy who I will actually target in redraft leagues next year, right? Because anybody who drafted him this year is going to be like, I'm done with that dude. Most people are going to be like, what do I want with an aging guy who's battling injuries, stuff like that. That's a Dan Harris player. A Dan Harris player is an older player who is discounted because of a bad season or injury, and there's a lot of bounce back potential. But long-term, dynasty, I am definitely more concerned than I was.
Well, the Scherzer one is interesting, too, because he was jettisoned by the Diamondbacks because they were worried about durability issues, right? Imagine now, like, looking back on it, durability issues, and this is why, the measurables are important, but don't, pay attention to the kind of competitor a pitcher is, too, because Max Scherzer is a competitor, in a different level, and I think and he leads the ups today because he struck out 10 against the Dodgers in that debut. Kevin Gausman struck out 8 in his win against the Diamondbacks. So it was good to see Gausman kind of getting back on track after a little blip on the radar. And Eduardo Rodriguez, guy we talked about yesterday, loving the GPP, gave you 10 Ks in 5 innings against Detroit. How about that? Now, that was good. What was bad was we also like Lucas Giolito. So we give you the good, but we also keep it real. He sucked. Gave up a couple dingers, 6 runs for him given up. Anthony Descalfani hits the IL with shoulder fatigue. And manager Dave Roberts says Wednesday that Clayton Kershaw is in idle mode right now. Now, I don't know if, I don't even know what idle mode means. It's not something in my lifestyle I see very often, idle mode. But this is not good news because this is neither... let me put it this way. It's not going in the direction of he's coming back right away. That's the only thing I could think of right now.
Yep. And the issue is they need him, right? Like this is not a Dodgers have this put away. They can chill and take their time with him. They're 3.5 games behind the Giants. One of the most surprising stories really in the majors, the fact that all the preseason talk was Dodgers and Padres. Joe, even in the middle of the season, I felt like you said it was like burning money to put a future on the Giants. They had to win. They just keep winning. And the Dodgers need to stick with them. The fact that Kershaw is not apparently close to returning is really concerning because he must really, really be struggling to, with his injury. So I'm concerned if I roster Kershaw. I'm basically approaching the rest of the season as if I'm maybe going to get September out of him. But even that at this point, I'm trying to make other arrangements to make sure I shore up my pitching.
And don't forget this come next year. Like if he comes back and he pitches okay through the playoffs and he's there, don't forget about this because you have to look now at the last 5-6 years of Clayton Kershaw differently and rank him differently. He can't be your fantasy linchpin anchor rotation guy. He just can't be. I think you're setting yourself up for failure. Now, then again, I don't know how many there are that can be. I don't know who does feel like one. It's Freddy Peralta. Ooh, yeah, Freddy Peralta. Okay. Look at that. Uh-oh. Dan's got feelings. Go ahead, Dan.
I'm very
upset about that Freddy Peralta start yesterday.
Not that I'm upset because I have shares of Freddy Peralta and I need him to be
better.
Good,
you do enough shows with me. You better have a ton of them.
You're darn right. But one of the issues for me, Joe, was the fact that, look, it seemed pretty clear what they were doing going forward. They probably have this division mostly locked up. Mm-hmm. They're going to back off on their starting pitchers, especially a guy like Peralta. And suddenly, he came out and he threw 4 innings in that first start, and it was like 51 pitches or 60, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. The next start, I think he went 6 innings, but he only threw 60 pitches or 68 pitches. So it was like very clear. Then I believe yesterday he threw 98 pitches, unless I'm misremembering that. And I was like, wait, what?
He's just
what are
good,
we doing?
Baby.
What are we? I mean,
good.
Good for him, man. I love Freddy Peralta. I'm still. I listed him in our featured pros we do, where we ask a lot of people from around the industry, what do you think? I listed him as a sell high because I was like, people may not realize he's probably being backed off. And then they go ahead and do this. Good. That's great for anybody who rosters Freddy Peralta. I still think they're going to back him off pretty significantly, but he looked great and they let him go. So good for them. Maybe they'll do that in the future. I'm still expecting them to back him off.
I'm also trying to think of adjustments next year too to leagues and trying to understand what we're in right now with Major League Baseball. And I think one of those things that I'm starting to consider that might be a bad idea is, we have the whole corner infield, middle infield slots. That's a very, typical thing you see in a lot of 12-team mixed leagues. Maybe it's time to get rid of that. Maybe it's time to go catcher, first, second, third, short, 3 outfielders, and then just do maybe 2 or 3 utility spots and just open it up and realize that, the injuries, it's instead of trying to lock people into positions, just give yourself a couple utility spots instead. I think that might be an adjustment to leagues that I'd like to see next year that I think would make for a better fantasy game, considering the state of injuries and the 10-day IL and COVID and all these other things that we're dealing with. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like it actually. And the league, we have personal leagues, we have expert leagues. The personal league that I care the most about, it actually doesn't have a middle or a corner, but it has several utility spots. Mm-hmm. And I find that to be easier. It's more challenging to craft salary cap values for that, because you're like, I don't know how many first basemen are going to be drafted. I don't know how many second basemen. But it does. In
my home league, we have 2, and it's a salary cap league. So
there's so much more flexibility, right? Mm-hmm. Like you have something where you've got, and it really does make it a lot easier. So I'm with you. I think that's a change that most fantasy leagues should make.
And kill the 2-catcher league. Kill it.
Oh yeah, I don't get it. I get it. The 2-catcher league. I think when you say what is the justification for a 2-catcher league, the justification is always that's how it has always been. That it's dumb in my opinion.
All right,
whatever.
Here's some stuff on the board too. Not just Freddy Peralta pissing off Dan, but Whit Merrifield hurt him yesterday and stole another base. He's up to 28 on the year, just rubbing it right in Dan Harris's face. And I made a wager this morning that I want to talk to all the peanuts and the Cracker Jacks about. It's not a big wager; it's a small one, and I'm going to watch it. Because this is what we do when we see something we like. This is the smart thing to do. You sprinkle a little chips on something that's a really big number, and then you watch where it goes. And if it gets smaller and smaller, you start to double down those chips. And that's actually a better way of approaching some of these futures. Everybody knows I've got locked in Ohtani, but I have not put a single dime on the NL MVP race because it's been so volatile and so back and forth, and now so injury riddled. No Acuna, he gone. DeGrom, he gone. Tatis, he gone. If you look around right now, all the teams that are leading their respective divisions in the National League, the Mets don't really have an MVP candidate as a position player.
Accurate.
The San Francisco Giants, Buster Posey.
Not really. No.
Not really. The Milwaukee Brewers, absolutely not.
No.
The Phillies are on a run. Bryce Harper has some pretty good numbers.
Yep.
Bryce Harper, big-time player, big-time guy, big-time leader. You look at the numbers, he's got 12 steals, 17 home runs. I know it seems like a small number, but if he goes on a run here and gets, over 30 plus or something like that, which he is more than capable of doing, OPS is getting really close to 1,000. Yeah. He's a 30-1 right now on FanDuel. Throw $10 on that bad boy. $10 is like a scone or a muffin and a coffee at Starbucks, right? That's a $300 return. Just saying. I read an article where somebody's making a case for it on MLB.com today, and I thought it was a really good case, and it made a lot of sense. And I don't know if it's necessarily going to happen, but looking at the Phillies structurally and looking how they're playing, Bryce Harper could be that guy. And if he has a really strong finish to the season, it would not surprise me if he got some attention. What are your thoughts on this?
I love it. I'm actually trying to make it right now. This isn't even joking. Like we're talking about this right now. I'm on draft.
It's $10. $10 brings you back 300. You have literally nothing to lose. It's crazy. But that's what he is right now. And I don't know what he is on DK. Is he the same on DK?
He's plus 3,000.
Okay, so he's
30-1. Exactly what you said, right?
30-1. And I'm looking at 30-1 and I'm saying to myself, do I believe in the Reds? Not so much. Right now, I mean, the Padres are having all kinds of problems, right? I mean, if the Phillies get in the playoffs or even go past, and this is also part of the self-loathing Met fan that always goes into my own personal equations of things, do I expect the Mets to possibly collapse? It's quite possible. I wonder about Bryce Harper possibly being that guy who makes that late push, because we all know the late push, that's the big one. And he would be the guy to carry them. Yeah,
that's a great. I've just placed it. This is not a joke. While we were sitting here, I just placed it because I think it's good. Now you're looking at the leaders in the clubhouse. Obviously, you've got Fernando Tatis Jr. is still the favorite, at least when I'm looking at DraftKings and everything. And again, you can check out if you are interested in
But
sports
the
betting.
Padres might not make the playoffs.
That's true. Go to bettingpros.com. You can check out all of this. Trey Turner, it'd be interesting. Trey Turner could do it. He's been traded, but within the National League,
that never happens. A guy who
Max Muncy is up there, but again, the Dodgers. Now you're going to have Betts. Betts is going to go on this run and everything like that. It's really incredible. Freddie Freeman's still up there. I don't expect the Braves to make it. DeGrom is still there, but Harper, because the thing is, Harper can win it if they can make it into they probably can't make it to a wild card game unless the Padres collapse. But if they stay in it, he's really doing it. The big knock on him is the lack of RBI, but nobody cares about that in MVP voting because voters, to be fair, voters are a lot more sophisticated. I mean, we heard kill the win for the Cy Young Award forever, and then Felix Hernandez won it with 13 wins or whatever that, and Jacob deGrom, nobody cares. Voters are smart enough to disregard sort of old counting stats that people used to care about. The fact that he doesn't have any RBIs is kind of irrelevant. It's a great job. He's playing great, by the way. Like, we haven't talked about him enough.
On both sides of the ball, too. He's a good defensive player, too. He never gets enough credit for how good of a defensive player he is. I just thought it was an interesting one. Where, like, again, you could be lighting that on fire, but there's not a lot of $10 wagers out there that you look at and you go, yeah, there's every scenario where that could fall into place. And again, now watch it, because if he has a great August, that number is going to be 10-1 on September 1st.
I mean, Joe, he's batting or less. He's batting as they've climbed. He's batting 407 with a 1269 OPS. It's since the break. Since the break. I mean, it's a great call. And by the way, he is a guy who you always have like little injuries that you have to worry about. But for the most part, if you want a guy, you probably can't now because he's been so hot. But he was a guy who you probably could have bought low on, given all the injuries, given the lack of RBI, which people are so mad about. But again, we don't talk enough about his steal potential.
There's no reason he can still get to 100 this year. That's not impossible.
For 100 RBI, he's got 41, Joe.
No, he's only got 41. I thought he had 60 something. Oh, I'm looking at the runs. Is that what
that's runs. 41.
He's only got the 41 RBI.
Yeah,
who cares about the RBI?
Well, I'm just saying
because it's also where you hit the batting order some nights too.
No, but he bats third No, man. He is batted third the entire. It's just a weird oddity of the season that just happened. It's not his fault.
That part of it was the guys like Odubel Herrera hitting leading, like the guys who were leading off ahead of him just not getting on base.
Yeah,
and the bottom of that order being trash. Like that's
no. I mean, that's the point. It's not. But he's again the reason why
it's probably not going to happen. But it's interesting to have the discussion.
I don't know. I think it's way more. I think the implied
of all the 30-1 long shots, it's one where you look at it and you go, maybe this is the year Bryce Harper finally becomes that guy. Like he's a phenomenal player that we never talk about. We never talk about Bryce Harper. We talk about Ohtani, we talk about Vlad, we talk about Trout.
We should again redraft like the first two rounds at some point before the end of it and see where it is, because I think Harper would probably be in there. So
I got no problem with that, and I'm a little concerned about the Tatis going forward. And he's got the stats, but if the Padres don't make the playoffs, that's a tough sell for me. Mookie Betts, 2 for 5 yesterday, 2 dingers. Luis Castillo again. Is Luis Castillo a top 10 pitcher rest of the season? Dan Harris.
I would put him top 15, but probably just outside the top. I have no issues if you put him top 10. I mean, since
10's getting real thin right now.
Right, that's true. I just keep knocking people off. But if you basically get rid of those first 11 starts or whatever it was where he was awful, he's been as good as he's ever been. So yeah, he's borderline top 10 for sure.
All right, DJ LeMahieu, 3 for 5, 4 home runs. We called him out yesterday in the show. He responded. That's what gamers do. Right. They hear the media talking about them, and they go respond. 4 for 5 for George Springer, 3 RBI in that game and a home run. Steven Matz, a big star for him. Certainly needed 6 shutout innings, 8 Ks against the Guardians. I'm going to start saying it now so I get used to it. Max Scherzer, we talked about his 10 Ks. Dansby Swanson, 4 for 4, 3 runs and a steal. And Randy Arozarena, who is now second in terms of FanDuel odds, I know, for Rookie of the Year. He is now jumped into second, right behind Garcia, who I think Garcia is going to fade as this year goes on here, and he will be a distant memory come September. Arozarena, on the other hand, since the All-Star break, 354, 6 homers, and 1138 OPS. The duds, besides Giolito, Jake Odorizzi stunk. Bad. Other news and notes, Cody Bellinger dropped to 8th for the first time this year. 8th for Cody Bellinger. Is he the number one disappointment in fantasy this year? I have to kind of think he is, right?
Might be Yelich. Just because I feel like the capital invested in Yelich. But it might. I mean, look, somebody asked me yesterday on Twitter whether or not I would trade Jeff McNeil and
Yeah,
Kenley.
we were on this same
right,
thing.
Oh, you were on that one, right?
And
Kenley
I said
Jansen.
yes.
I said, oh, I would rather have McNeil and Jansen.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah,
I
would rather have Jeff McNeil and Kenley Jansen, who's not good right now. Like it's not like he's pitching lights out or anything, than Cody Bellinger. And it wasn't close. If you told me McNeil for Cody Bellinger, I would have to think about it. I would take Bellinger, but there is nothing to be optimistic about here, guys. It's really remarkable. And again, it comes back, Joe, to you come off an MVP season and all we hear about is that you're changing your swing. I don't understand how that happened or what happened, but between the injuries, he's just lost right now, completely almost an irrelevant fantasy player.
Yelly and Belly. It's been a bad year.
Yelly and Belly.
Yep. Yelly and Belly. Discofani on the IL. Yastrzemski scratched with hamstring tightness. Matt Harvey left his start after tweaking his knee. Dane Dunning goes to the IL with an ankle impingement, and Edwin Diaz placed on the paternity list, so Trevor May got the save. Congratulations to Edwin Diaz. Also last night, only 5 home runs for the Cracker Jacks last night. Brick JB moves up to 17 with Springer. Turf Durgeson moves up to 16 with Sal Perez. Lawnmower Man 4.4 moves to 15 with Springer as well. Brian 92,271. I can only assume the other 92,270 guys before that were failures, moves up to 10. That's Duval. And Bridezilla moves up to 4 with, I'm sorry, Birdzilla, not Bridezilla. Moves up to Arenado.
Get a hold of yourself.
Get a hold of myself. And what you got to get a hold of is the Lawnmower 4.0. That's what you need to do. Go to manscaped.com, 20% off and free shipping thanks to our friends there. Use that code leading off. You know about the battery length. You know about the guard lengths. You know about the hot foil, black chrome stamp Manscaped logo. It's sexy. It's right. The Lawnmower 4.0. Go out there and get it right now and go check out all the other packages that they've got for your package at Manscaped. But make sure you use that code leading off. 20% off, free shipping. Your balls. Well, thank you. Still the same old at the top of the board. I am ice cold now. I've been hanging out with Dan too much. That's no good.
Yes.
We'll get to our home run calls in a second. Only 6 games tonight. The good chalk is Houston. Framber Valdez, that's right, I'm going back to the Framber well. 9.7, 9.9. He's at home against the terrible, awful, no good Twins. Sonny Gray's at 9.3 on both sites. I don't like any of the other pitchers. Dallas Keuchel is just 7.2 on DK. He could be your secondary arm. It's Framber or bust for me today. If you want to go Sonny Gray against Pittsburgh, I get that too. Dan, your thoughts?
No, I'm not going Sonny Gray against Pittsburgh. He's one of the guys, I sort of said it yesterday with Eduardo. You could see a big start anytime from these guys, but there's just no way I'm trusting Gray. I agree that it's pretty much Framber, but this is a night, again, where I'm probably going to take off. But if you got to go somewhere, it's Framber.
All right, let's go to the other stacks of the day. Toronto, good situation there for them. New York Yankees, good situation for them. Seattle might be a sneaky other side of that game because Nestor Cortez, I don't know how that's all going to work out. He was supposed to pitch the other day and then heel pitch. I don't know how everything's going over there.
Yeah.
Cincinnati also in play today in that ballpark at home against the Pirates. And then Houston, obviously, the good chalk is in play as well. FanDuel lineup builders, get ready. Corey Dickerson, again, 2.0. Abraham Toro, who's hitting the snot out of the ball lately. 2.5. He's going to be at Yankee Stadium today. That should be fun. So is Jared Kelenic. He's at 2.3. Miles Straw at the top of the Guardians lineup, 2.6. See, it's going to take a lot of undoing for that one. This is going to be a long couple years before I stop saying that. And Mitch Garver at 2.7. I know it's against Framber, but just want to say Mitch Garver's a good play at 2.7. Then on DK, you got Jared Kelenic at 2.2, free square. Abraham Toro, 3.5. Aledmys Diaz at 2.7 and Andrew Vaughn at 2.9. I'm going to go with Jose Abreu for my home run call. He went yard yesterday. He's going against the lefty today, the young kid in Lynch. And, I think you're going to get into that bullpen a little bit too, but Abreu just looks locked in right now to me at the plate. So going to go with the back-to-back day here. I'm not going to be afraid of the fact he went yard yesterday. Dan Harris, where are you going to go with your home run call?
I like your call. I recently traded Jose Abreu, which almost always leads immediately to the following week, 7 home runs for the week. I'm going to go a little, weird here. I believe he homered yesterday as well, but we'll go back to back. And that is Jorge Soler. I liked this acquisition by the Braves. Again, pickings are a little slim tonight, so it's not exactly that. But against the lefty Wade LeBlanc, I am going with Jorge Soler to go yard for the Braves.
It's funny. I think everybody who watched us do this for the first like 6 weeks of the show is like, these guys are idiots. This is easy. I could get a home run call every night. And you see, like, even the people who are really good, they've been stuck on 20 for a while, 18 for a while. Like, it is, you go on a run, you get a couple, and then it's cold.
Right after we were like, we're gonna shoot past 1,000 for the season. That's where I was like, and everybody's like, no, we're not hitting any.
Well, it's hard on the short slates too. It's a little harder. You don't have as many options. But look, go out there, make your home run calls in the Discord chat. Go to fantasypros.com/chat and join that. And as Dan was saying, go to fantasypros.com/shop to get all the leading off merch that's out there. I did see some screenshots already. People saying they bought their shirt and their hat and their things. Very exciting times. Dan Harris, I know it's kind of a quick one today, but I think we covered a lot of good things. Tomorrow will be Friday, so there'll be a full slate of games to talk about and everything else. So your final thoughts for today?
I would say that we have a winner. For the giveaway for the Shane Bieber. It is Michael from Philadelphia. Congratulations to Michael. I will close just by saying there is a lot of pushback led by the Wonky Penguin about my comment that voters for these awards are more sophisticated than they used to be. Everybody's going nuts. Let me explain something.
Because it's people like Steve Gardner voting now, and these are people who are tied into the fantasy industry and understand that wins are important, but not the end all be all.
I understand. And Mayer's pointing out that, however many years ago it was, like 8 years ago, Porcello won or whatever it was with 22 wins. I get it. But if you follow the way these people are voting, if you listen to them when they explain their process, because almost everybody now will make their vote and explain their process afterwards, you see the stats they are considering, and they are miles ahead from where they were even 5 years ago or anything like that. So Harper, the RBI, he may win by default, as Wonky is saying, but I do think that in the end, the RBI, that sort of total, way, way less important than it used to be. That's all. That's my final
Porcello, honestly, you win 22 games, you deserve it. Like, I'm sorry, like, that does matter because you are helping your team win, and that makes you valuable. And he had over 200 strikeouts that year. That was the one good Rick Porcello strikeout year that actually happened, if memory serves. But it's just... I also feel like from Major League Baseball standpoint, it's good publicity to start pushing this Bryce Harper narrative. It's good. He's one of their bigger stars and probably underutilized stars. And Ohtani's kind of taken the stage, and Vladimir Guerrero and Tatis and Acuna and all these guys. But you know what? Think about it. Like, some of those guys, like, Trout, Ohtani, they're on the West Coast. You got all the Dodger guys on the West Coast. Could use a little bit. Vlad's going to be in Canada. Could use somebody in that Northeast area to really say, like, okay, this is the star here in this region, and we're gonna, continue to hype him and make him a star. And he's been a star from day one, and it's almost like people get tired of him. And I think people are starting to realize again, oh wait, Bryce Harper's really, really good at baseball. And I think it's I think it's a long time coming. He's one of my favorite players. He always has been. I love him. He reminds me of George Brett because he's intense, and another one of these guys that you love him when he's on your team and you probably hate him when he's not. But I think you like what Bryce Harper brings, and he is in a zone right now. If he continues to finish hot and the Phillies somehow overtake the Mets, I don't know how you don't give him that award. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. And I am looking at Rick Porcello's season, by the way. He pitched 223 innings, and it was a tiebreaker with Justin Verlander. He had a 3.15 ERA. Verlander had a 3.04 ERA. Like, their numbers weren't that disparate. No. I would have given it to Verlander.
I would have given it You would have given it to Verlander. Okay.
I probably would have given it to Verlander. Overall, he I mean, his strikeouts were significantly up, than they were. But it's close enough where it wasn't like, look, they just looked at wins, blah, 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 blah. I really don't think that was the case. I mean, Porcello, a 101 whip. Yeah, man, he was solid.
Was great.
He was
Whatever
solid. Their numbers
happened
were comfortable.
To that Rick Porcello? That's all I want to know. Where did he come from? Where did you go?
Yeah.
Where did you go, Rick Porcello?
Yeah.
All right, that'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Dinger, Dan Harris's eye rolls, and me, Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.